Honestly, I can't tell whether I'm live or not just yet. So, oh, actually, it looks like we are. Cool. What's going on, everyone? Corey Owens with We Found Nostalgia Supply, Grow Memphis Agency. Excuse me if I am being a little bit muffled by the fan that I've got going in the background. But this is going to be a fun video. I would like for you to comment and give me some feedback, ask questions as I stream this video. Before we get started, I'm going to go sort something out really quickly, and I'll be right back. Awesome. Today's stream is brought to you by Memphis Entrepreneur Club, where your passion can turn into a profit. Right now, we're not accepting new members. We're not doing any memberships currently. We're not doing any events, but eventually I will have a new course for people who are not able to make it out to the events in Memphis. And we will start doing once monthly events where entrepreneurs and business owners come together and exchange or share valuable resources, and of course, build their network. So my goal today is just to show you an over the shoulder look at what I do to build a new print on demand business from home. I've built, I would say, a successful one so far. I've built plenty of print on demand businesses in the past when print on demand fulfillment was a brand new thing. But now I've got some new tips that I hope will be helpful to you guys. I'm wanting to do a stream as frequently as possible, at least once daily. And if I don't get a chance to do a stream once daily, I will continue to come back as frequently as I can to share and showcase my tips and techniques. And it will be really helpful to me if you could ask your questions in the comments of this video so that I can have more motivation to create things that are relative to what you need help with currently in your journey. So graphic design, working from home, earning an income. And yes, I do mean a passive income, but in the beginning, when you're building a print on demand business, a lot of the income is going to be active, and there's going to be a lot of active work that you do that you don't get paid for. I, as a designer, take the design first approach. And the reason that I'm telling you that today is because that's why my videos, the first set of videos that I have created on this subject, are design focused. Now, I have had the experience of having anywhere from 1 to 10% of my products. Sometimes it's even less than 1% of my products getting traction and gaining sales on their own. This is without search engine optimization. This is without advertising, without promotions. But when I throw advertising, promotions, and publishing content in the mix, I get a much higher volume. But typically, it's the same product that sells when I go and add that advertising and promotion. Without the advertising and promotion, it's the same product that gets sales organically, but it's less frequent. So what that tells me is that one of my products, let's say for instance, in a store where I have 350, is going to get more sales whether I'm running ads or not. So something that I can do to help me increase my sales is to design a significantly higher number of products while also considering things like customizability and uniqueness and quality. I personally believe that all my products are great, but there's really no way of knowing that you have, whether you have a winning product or not, or winning set of products, if you aren't intentional about trying a diverse set of designs per your niche, right? So if your niche, let's say, is America, that's so broad. You can have flags in there, guns in there, you can have quotes in there, and you'll never know how well that niche performs in comparison to other niches. If you know, and using America as an example, you can niche down into states. So you have Tennessee shirts, uh, um, Texas shirts, Florida shirts, California shirts, Maine shirts, Washington shirts, right? And you know, let's say you throw in there 100 different Tennessee shirts, 100 different Texas shirts, 100 different Arkansas shirts, and you have, you know, let's say you have, I guess it would be 5,000, or yeah, 5,000. Is it 500, 5,000? Yeah, you have 5,000 shirts in your shop, right? It's an America centric print on demand store, and you niche down to states. So you do Tennessee t-shirts. You sit there for on your computer, or you hire someone to design 100 shirts over the course of 1-2 months, and you publish those shirts to your store without doing any SEO whatsoever. Out of those 100 Tennessee shirts, one of them might get consistent sales. Okay. You do the same thing for, you know, America as a broad niche, and you might notice that out of all 5,000 of the shirts that you've created, for each state, there's a particular design that you created that gets more sales. For example, you could do like the outline of the state, and then cut that state up into horizontal lines, and then change the color of those lines. I'll just go ahead and show you real quick, into like a retro rainbow, right? So, you know, let's say I've got an artboard. Let me just go and grab a new artboard. All right, I've got an artboard here. I will just go to somewhere like Freepik. And then we're going to grab a Tennessee outline. I have a membership to this website, so I could download some vector graphics if I wanted to, but I'm just showing you the workflow as an example. Let me go ahead and zoom out so you can see what I got going. All right, cool. I'll go ahead and use one of my own. One of my own assets, I mean. I'm going to center that. I'm going to go back into Google. I'm going to search for retro sunset design. And basically this is what I'm talking about. Oh, cool. It's available on Freepik. So nice. That's a easy thing I can do, is go ahead and download the EPS version of this file. I really would like to have a, you know, actually I'm just going to recreate the colors myself. So it's easier for me to just go in here and just recreate the colors in a minute. Let me break this apart. I'm going to grab a horizontal line. I'm going to duplicate it down and do a Control J to power duplicate that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And let me modify and transform these individually. I think that's an option in here where I can make an individual transformation. Yep, transform separately. I can see how I do that. That's a really cool feature. All right, and I'm going to make it just a little bit like this. I want to have a little bit of a line in between those layers. All right, and then I can just do a simple color pick to grab those colors. I don't want that retro worn out design just yet, the overlay. I don't need that just yet. I just want to get a few designs in here. All right, so this is assuming that we're building a print-on-demand store for, let's say, t-shirts, and America is our niche. All right, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these lines. I'm going to group them together for now, and we're going to center it on our canvas. I'm going to take our Tennessee. Let's bring that to the front and center that on the canvas as well. Let me just adjust this to where it's about the same height as our Tennessee state. And, you know, maybe to make this a little bit easier for me, I'll go back over to Free Pick, and I'm going to search for 50 states. Outline. Now, something like this might work, and I want to see if I can find them individually. And it doesn't really matter the fidelity of, you know, the edges. Ooh, I can even do it to where it's got the like different counties in there, and that would be great. So, you know, just to simplify this, I'm going to find something like, let's say, Alaska, Hawaii. If we can find an AI or EPS file, this might be useful. So let's grab this EPS file. I'm going to go into my graphic design and shirt ideas folder. I'm going to create a new folder. We're gonna call this the 50 states, or America in 50 states. All right, I'm going to create a new folder called states. And in there, I'm going to save my EPS file as USA. Okay, I'm going to go over to that EPS file, and I'm going to open this in Affinity Designer. This is the program that I use. I prefer Affinity over Adobe's Creative Suite. And it looks as though all these layers are individualized, and I should, hypothetically, I should be able to go in here and highlight everything that I want to grab. Let me just go ahead and group all of this together and hide it. It's interesting that it didn't grab this piece when I just highlighted all of that. Okay, well, we've got all these 50 states here. And I wish that they were all together, but it appears that they aren't. But at least we may have, oh man, well, that kind of blows. All right, so it won't be as easy to manipulate this as I thought it would. But sometimes that's part of the problem. You got to figure out exactly how you want to go in and grab these assets. So let's just do this. Let's group this together. Okay, let's grab everything, deselect that, press delete. All right, now let's ungroup this. All right, you see where I'm getting at? I'm going to take this back piece and shut it off. And some of these individual pieces that are colored, I can also disable. All right, they do not have to be very accurate, but our goal right now is to get these 50 states all at one time. and I'll show you exactly why. Like, this is just my process. You're watching me do this in real time, and we're going to create, today, let's say our goal is to create 50 different products or 50 variations of the same product. And this is going to be variation one. I just thought of this off the top of my head, but that's what a typical day looks like for me. Okay. Now I could go to Freepik and download these states individually, but I think this is a much quicker process if my goal is to get all 50 states for my project. So what I'm doing now is I'm deleting all the elements I don't want or need. From the project so that I can focus on extracting these states. Now, something that I think will be useful is the fact that these states currently have an outline around them, and that outline is basically a solid shape. It's not using an actual path or pen tool to create the outline, which gives me the ability to now join these outlines as one solid shape, and then throw an image, throw a shape layer behind the outline, and then punch that shape layer. Okay, so I think I've gotten everything, maybe except for a few letters. I don't know, like, by heart all of the 50 states. So I would probably have to refer to a like another image on Google, or just go buy a map. If I'm doing like America as my store, I would just go buy a map and then put it up in front of me so that I can start getting used to. Let's join this. Go into the designer persona, join. So that I can start getting used to knowing what states is what. All right, so we had a little bit of an issue. Let me go, let's see why this happened. So one thing that I can do, instead of just using the join tool, we'll get rid of some of these phantom lines that I'm finding sitting out here. That's another thing about downloading assets, is sometimes the assets won't be 100% accurate and you might have a few issues, but nothing that we can't handle. All right, so I'm just zooming in around to find out if there are any miscellaneous lines and vector lines that are sitting inside of the design that could pose to be an issue. Probably wouldn't, but just in case. Like that. When you're using Affinity Designer, you just want to look for the red nodes, and that will help you find any miscellaneous like shapes or lines that are inside of our solid shapes that need to be deleted. And sometimes those little shapes can cause issues. Typically what you'll find when you download a graphic off the internet is that the creator of the graphic used a tablet and a pen to create the graphic, and some maybe he placed the pin down by accident, or the line wasn't drawn quite perfectly. And there will be, I call them phantom lines. Lines that are there but don't actually add any practical asset to the scene. Like, I don't know what this is that I'm looking at. All right. So it turns out there were some little lines in there that didn't need to be. And I'm sure there are more curves somewhere that need to be removed. So one of the things that I could do to help with this issue is convert this canvas to an artboard, turn the artboard black, and then turn all the assets inside the artboard white. I'm using a dark user interface. So inside of my layers panel, everything looks a little too dark for me to notice if there's even like shape information inside of the layer. All right, so inside of Artboard 1, now you see how I can go in here and I can see, let me open up this and kind of zoom in a little bit. Let's see, where are we? We are layers. There we go. All right, so I can zoom over into the layers panel and I can see that there is some sort of a white shape, right? And if there isn't a white shape showing up, that means that there is an issue with that particular layer. That layer can probably be deleted. It's either empty or it's too small to show up to register. Yeah, it's too small to register as a shape in the preview, right? So those are the things that I look for. I'm going to continue looking for those so that when I go to combine these layers and these shapes, I don't run into any issues. Okay. There are 50 states, so there can't be any more than, maybe there could be a little more than 50 layers. Okay, but we're going to continue just looking through our layers to find what I call phantom lines. And we're going to delete those phantom lines. Like this triangle right here. If I zoom back out, there that triangle is. Okay, I can delete that. Or I could join these together, right? That creates a little bit of an issue, and I don't know why. Interesting. All right, let's try to reverse this line and see if we can join it. See if that's going to fix our issue. Nope. All right, we'll figure that out in a minute. We're going to go ahead and finish deleting these phantom lines in here. This is going to go on a t-shirt or something. All right, so the fidelity doesn't really matter in terms of like really small details. Let's see what's in this group. Okay, a bunch of curves that we don't need. All right. And it's possible that some of these curves aren't even fully closed. All right, so let's highlight everything. I'm going to hit A. And yeah, I think all these are pretty much closed. So I'm going to draw a large rectangle We're going to set that to a random color and throw it behind our shape or shapes. I'm going to select those shapes, and I'm going to try this. Select our rectangle, and then use the Boolean subtract tool, and that still creates a problem. All right, so it looks like this shape is posing an issue. Now let's combine them. All right, so I guess what I had to do was do a subtraction first of that individual shape and then start combining the shapes together. All right, so as you can see, everything's now becoming one large simplified shape. All right, so I should be able to select everything and join it. Boom, all set. Now, I guess what I could do here is punch this United States outline out from our background. Okay. And then use the divide tool, deselect that background. Let's group everything else together and delete the background. Now we have United States, and the states are technically individual shapes. All right. If you have a question about how I did that, please comment, let me know. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is start combining shapes that I believe are meant to be connected to a particular state. All right, this is all meant to be as a preview. This is just an example. I'm probably not actually going to use these unless I start another shirt store. All right, so now I've got the 50 states. I'll grab Tennessee. No, I'll grab Texas, Florida, California. Yeah, let's do Texas, Florida, and California. Okay, I'm going to copy these and go over to my other design. Actually, you know what? What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this file as my new project file. I'm going to go File, Save As. Inside of my new folder, American 50 States, we're just going to save this as Retro States. Okay, so Artboard 1, I'm just going to title United States. Okay, and we can do the same thing with like American flags. We can throw a flag on top of the 50 states. But United States is the very first one, right? Let's move this over. Control Shift, because we're going to duplicate it, and Shift to make sure it moves over in a straight line. And here we can delete everything. Let's ungroup it all and then deselect Texas, delete everything else, right? Move this over again. Can I do a J, power duplicate? Nope, I can't with an artboard. All right, here I'm going to ungroup everything and delete everything but California. Here I'll ungroup everything, delete everything but Florida. Okay, let's censor that. Whoops. Let's censor that and expand it to a reasonable size. Censor California, expand it to a reasonable size. Let's keep that height. And we're going to do the same thing here. I'll go back over to my other project I created, and we're just going to grab these retro colors and this retro template. I actually want to duplicate this one more time because I would like to include Tennessee in this. Create another artboard. Delete the shape out of there and paste our retro, we'll call it a retro flag. All right, copy, paste, ungroup, and delete everything but Tennessee. Center Tennessee and stretch that bad boy out. Now I'm going to rename these artboards. Let's call this one, let's see, United States assets. We're going to call this one Texas. Technically, you would have about 50 artboards in here. California, Florida, United States, or I'm sorry, Tennessee. That's actually kind of funny. All right, and then I'm going to duplicate United States again. Because I want that primary United States artboard to stay as it is. All right, I can go in here and copy and paste over this retro flag, if you will. Let's make sure United States is centered. Let's make sure our retro flag is also centered. Okay, now what I can do is Control X to cut that out. I'll click on the United States. I'm going to combine that as one solid shape. We're going to change the outline to transparent and the solid fill to also be transparent. And then we're going to do an edit paste inside, or Control Alt V. All right, so boom, there's our first t-shirt design minus the grungy effect. We'll throw that in last. Let's go ahead and knock out all of these other states. Okay, so let's again copy this retro. Let's center it first. Rainbow, we're going to call it retro color. Okay, adjust it to Texas, to the height of Texas. I'm going to copy, paste it over in this canvas, paste it over in this canvas. Let's stretch it out a little bit, make it wider, paste it in this canvas, make it wider, and we can bring that design down to meet the height of Tennessee. All right, again, I'm going to go in here, Control X to cut it, change our feel of this Texas state to transparent, and do a Control Alt V to paste that retro color inside of it. X, Control Alt V, X, Control Alt V, X, Control Alt V. Now for the United States, I might actually want to create another variation of this. So what I will end up having to do, I want to create another variation of this without the actual states being visible. Must have, let me reopen that document, that original document. So open, where's that document at? Let's go to shirt ideas, What do we call this? Americas? Isn't that what we call that? America in 50 states? States, USA, EPS. Okay, same situation here. I'm just going to do a lot of deleting of assets that I know I don't need first. Okay, and then we're going to grab these 50 states, group it, and then grab literally everything else and delete it. I'm going to make this an artboard and set it to black. Now I can ungroup everything else in here and go through the process of deleting the stuff we don't want. All right, I'm going through this process again because I need to extract out of this design something, just the full outline of the United States, and I want to maintain the actual design of this asset that I downloaded instead of just downloading a new United States vector. All right, just personal preference, just doing what I would do if I were not streaming, right? So I can highlight a number of different texts, and some of those phantom lines in there that I know will need to be deleted again. But our goal here is just to go ahead and grab the assets we know we want to use and get rid of everything we're not. All right, so while I do this, if you don't have or use Affinity Designer, I would definitely recommend downloading Affinity Designer, at least the trial version, unless you are very confident in using Illustrator or Photoshop to maintain your workflow, to enhance your workflow. I have found that for me, Affinity Designer is the best tool for working through projects really fast. I look at Affinity Designer like I look at Windows versus Adobe like I look at Apple. Apple just makes things complicated that don't have to be complicated. I'll just highlight over this to see if I see any random little items pop up. Like any phantom, like those phantom lines I'm telling you about. I'm just going to highlight over everything to see if any of those little phantom lines pop up. All right, there's one here. So when I highlight over this, for example, see that line right there? My goal is to get rid of all those random lines, just, for the purpose of knowing that I have a clean document or a clean asset. All right. I just like for my assets to be very thoroughly clean and optimized, even though we're probably going to be using some form of like direct to garment printing where, the asset optimization won't matter. I remember that I had an issue with one of these. I think it's this one. So if I went and tried to join this asset to this asset, well, every time I try to do that, I click the add button, it pretty much just explodes and destroys the design. So what I have to do first is click on the asset and then click on the divide button. All right, and then I want to go back and punch this state out of the outline. Now I should be able to grab everything and combine it all at once. Okay. And now I have, and actually now that it's combined, I'll take all of this. I'm going to copy and paste it. And we're going to do a divide. Actually, no, we're not going to do a divide. We're going to grab that rectangle again. Send that to the back. Give it a random color. Okay. I'm going to select the states and the rectangle and use the subtract tool. Okay. And now we're going to just click on divide to divide it again. But we're going to shift and deselect the outer edge, and then we're going to delete these states. Now I should be able to press divide, like grab this rectangle, press divide, and then shift, deselect the outside, and now I have the United States as a solid color, and then we're going to press add so that we can make sure that this is one solid shape. Now I just hit copy. Let's go over to our retro states, and we're going to copy this one over. Remember holding shift and control. And we're going to paste this and center it. All right, let's hide that for a minute. I'm going to grab this retro version and do a Control Shift G. Actually, I can't do it that way. So I'll just go inside of my groups and I'll expand the group, grab the flag, Control X, and then delete those curves that are left over. Let's turn our United States layer back on. Change the color of this layer to transparent. I actually undo that. I'm going to paste this flag first to make sure that it's covering the entirety of the United States design. Okay, now Control X, the flag, convert the color, change this color to transparent, and then Control Alt V to paste. And now you see the difference. This one is a much more aesthetically pleasing version versus the one that has all the states. Okay. All right, so we have United States. And I would say that this is good so far. Technically, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variations of retro designs. Although I'm not a huge fan of how Tennessee is so tiny. But that's what we're working with. That's what we got to work with. Okay. And you can easily get inspiration by searching for retro sunset t-shirts. And they're probably going to pop up everywhere. Let's click on images. All right, so some of these have some of these are really cool. They have this interesting water effect. Obviously, it's a sunset looking design. Some of them have some, what do we want to call that, negative space design. So like, let's say that this is going to be printed on a black shirt, so you can create some negative space by adding whatever would essentially represent that state, right? And here are several other ones. All right, so let's say you go and do 100 designs that are all just retro states, or 50, because, let's say 51, because you've got the 50 states plus you've got the United States as a whole. So it's 51 designs. Now you've got 102 designs if you decide to then take those 50 states and then do a summer variation of them. Okay, so what does summer look like in Tennessee? All right, or what does, so let's make today a pool day, right? You can also go and do, a dad shirt in that retro variation, right? So multiply that 51 retro designs times, let's say 5 different like niche ideas you can think of: fishing, hunting, summer, it could even be music or something. So Elvis is out of Memphis, which is in Tennessee. The music variation of this retro design could be with an Elvis silhouette. All right. And then you can do a dad variation. So let's go to Free Pick and see if we can find an Elvis silhouette. And it's not likely, because I don't think they can have like copyrighted or likeness images there. All right, so in preparation for like Elvis Day, I'm going to go to Tools, Images, Tools, Size, Large. All right, and we're going to say, I'm not going to use his name. I just want to use like a large port. It could even be Elvis dancing on top of Tennessee, right? To make the design that much bigger. But I like the idea of it being, let's say a portion of his face. All right, this is all just an example. Okay, here's a good one. This portion of the tutorial, I'm going to have to create a new tutorial for what I'm about to do. But I'm just going to make this super quick. Set my canvas size to transparent so I can see what I'm working with. Go to adjust color, levels. I'm going to decrease and increase the levels to make sure that all whites are white and all blacks are black. If there is color, I can convert this to an alpha, or adjust the hue and saturation and turn the hue. Let's see, adjust color, hue, saturation. For example, if there was color, I can turn the saturation all the way down and just basically convert it to a grayscale image. Now, once I've adjusted my levels, I'll go to Other, Convert to Alpha, and we'll flatten that layer. And then I'll go to use my Magic Wand tool or Marquee tool. I'll select a black area, and then I'll right-click, select Similar. Okay, I'm going to right-click, Modify Marquee, and smooth this out to about, let's say, 12 pixel radius. Right-click, Modify Marquee, Convert to Path. And then I will, boom, I've got a vector path. Control Shift S. And go into our folder. So shirt ideas. This one was the Americas in 50 states. And I'm going to do, let's say, American 50 states. All right, I'll go into states, and I'm going to create a new folder called Tennessee. Whoops. Inside of this folder, I'm going to save this project as a Photoshop document. So you can do this in Photoshop or any other program if you know how to vectorize graphic assets. I'm going to save this as Elvis head. All right, I'll minimize this, go back to Affinity, and do a file open, and we can open a Photoshop document in Affinity. This is going to be the Elvis head that I open up. I'm going to do a copy. I can close this project. I can close this project. Let's go back to my states project. Let's go ahead and hit save. All right, I'll go back into Tennessee and hit paste. It's pretty big. And we're going to rotate this around. Right, so, this could easily be a summertime related design. I'm going to just make the color of Elvis the same color as the background for now. All right, what else would I need? I would need palm trees or something, but let's say this is an Elvis. This is just like an Elvis Week t-shirt, and it's all about, Elvis and Tennessee, right? Elvis Week in Tennessee, or Elvis Week in on Bill Street, mixed with this retro design, right? This is going to give us so many different variations. And here, I'll even go so far as to put United States on one row, or put, all the states on one row, put all the assets on one row. All right, I like to kind of keep things meticulous. And then I will go in here and just duplicate this down. And we'll have one version that's just Tennessee. And then we'll have one version that's music themed, right? So this is going to be the Tennessee dash music. All right, then I can duplicate that down again. And I'm not done with the design, but this is just me showing you how I work in what I think is a very productive way. All right, so once I get all of the states design in this format, I want to switch these. X, paste, X, paste. Then I can go down and do all the states in a music format, and then I can go down and do all the states in a summer format. All right, so let's say you have 10 different niches that you can cover. One other variation could be the flag. You could find a way to incorporate the flag into the shape of the state, right? So, let's say we can have 10 different niches that are state specific, music being one, nature being another. So 10, go ahead and grab your calculator out when you're thinking of this, times 51, I guess, would be 510. That's 510 designs, right, that you can have in your shop, and it not be so reduced down to just focusing on the niche of, like Tennessee, for example. Because it might be hard to create a bunch of Tennessee shirts, but if you can create 100 Tennessee shirts, then you can create 100 Texas shirts. You'll just have to kind of reconfigure the project that you created for all the Tennessee shirts into a Texas format, right? You've got nursing, you've got construction working, you've got dirt biking, off-roading, right? So you can find a way to incorporate dirt biking or mountain climbing into a Tennessee format. All right, so here's a project that I've been working on where inside of here I have all these different niches. All right, so I have aircraft, American technically, archery, ballet, barn ranch, basketball, baseball, beach, tropical, beer pong, beer and tavern, billiards, BMX, boats, bodybuilding, bowling, boxing, etc. And I would go so far as to make all of these products customizable. So we have 100 and let's say 110, we'll go 111, keeping America as a niche project, right? So if I were to multiply the idea of using the states as my overall niche, and I multiply that by 111, so times 51, that's 5,661 different products that I can create over the course of who knows how long, right? If I can create that many products, 5,661 over the course of, let's say, 6 months, right? So 30 times 6, that's 180 days. 5,661. Oh, yeah, obviously that's 180 days. Divided by 180. That's 31 products a day? Really? 31, let's say 32 products a day. 32 designs, I mean. 32 times 180 days. It's 5,760. You can basically go through all those niches. All right, 32 products a day to get to 5,000 products. That is, if you are going to stick to the script of, let's say the states. 32 products a day, 480 days, 5,760 products. Let's divide that by, let's say, what is 1% times 1%? That's 50. Okay, obviously, that's 57 products. If you only sold 1% of products per day out of your store, and you spent 180 days creating 30 variations of these ideas, it doesn't have to be the retro flag. It can be the rainbow, right? LGBTQ plus IA and whatever else they've added to it so far. Not for me, but I know people buy it. And if I know that people buy it, I don't mind including those sort of items in my store, because I'm not pushing anything on anyone. I'm making available to those people some product that they might want. All right, so I can easily change this, and let's say go to Google. Obviously, I know what the rainbow looks like, but it would be much easier if I just went in here and grabbed rainbow flag. Not the LGBTQ plus IA flag, just the rainbow flag. Let's keep it simple for now. Copy image. And then I might want to do that flag as well at some point. But now I can go in here, and we're going to create a new artboard. And we're going to pull these artboards up. Holding Control and Shift. And my snap settings are set to where everything is going to snap together. All right, I'll go in here and I will delete. Actually, I don't have to even delete it. I'm going to paste inside here this rainbow. I didn't mean to paste it inside. Okay. I'm going to grab this group. Cut it out. All right, ungroup it. 2, 3, 4. So we got 6 colors. Control J. Now we just go in here and just edit the colors. It doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have to be very color accurate. The printing company is going to make something that looks good enough. We're not matching furniture and paint, right? So keep it simple and sweet. And this isn't a summer, spring summer collection. We're not doing anything so significant. I can go in here and group this, center it, and we're going to copy it. Whoops, copy it. Grab our curves, Control X, Control Alt V. Let's do the same thing here. Inside of Texas, Control V, and let's just go ahead and stretch that out. go inside of this group, Control V, if I'm just going to paste it inside of there, and then stretch her up. What I'm doing is I'm clicking inside of the group. I'm clicking inside of the group here to expand the drop down. And then I'm clicking on the flag that's currently in here. And then I'm using paste. I'm going to hit Control V to paste inside of this grouped group, I guess, if you want to call it. So I've got this flag pasted inside already. I can click on that flag to paste something on top of it inside of the group and then delete the other flag. All right, and then what I'll do is I'll go in there and just adjust the size and scale till it fits the state perfectly. I hold down Control when adjusting the scale to make sure that it grows and is transformed from the center. It just looks so much better when the state is actually large, you know? So it might be a better design choice to rotate this one sideways. All right, I'm not a huge fan of that. So let's say 69. What is this? 69, 70. Let's go 70. So let's rotate this 70 degrees. Let's and design wise, I think that's a much better choice aesthetically. All right, so now we have pride states. Okay, and whether you want to throw on top of that the grunge effect or not, completely up to you. Completely up to you. Okay, so you know it's a preference, and I think the grunge effect does look good. It makes it feel more like it's a part of the shirt as opposed to being a design on the shirt. And I think that is an interesting look. But we're going to do that last. Right now I want to focus on these creative ideas that we have. So, you know, I'm not going to go into designing like a full summer shirt, but I want to give you an idea of my workflow. And this, you know, as a tip for how to maintain productivity would be to go in here and start using art boards as opposed to creating new projects for every design and then thinking about a new design today. Like, right? So how can you optimize your store to where you have a large variety of items that can have similar customization techniques across those items, right? So you're designing t-shirts. If your niche is so specific that you can only do one t-shirt design per idea, maybe you need to broaden your niche a little bit. All right. So music, there is a way that you can say music is a niche and then have an artboard of every different type of instrument that you can think of and create a music t-shirt store that's very generalized. And you know, the retro sunset idea could be, you know, something you throw in the background of those musical instruments. The pride you know, just the rainbow. I'm not even gonna call it a pride rainbow. It's just the rainbow. All right. But unfortunately, the rainbow is heavily associated with pride instead of something like happiness. Whereas happiness would be more like something that's a yellow with, you know, whether it's a smiley face or a sunburst or something to that effect. But I'm just throwing something out there to help you understand my thought process of, okay, how can I create multiple products at one time? Think big, but also think general United States. Okay, that was an idea. If I want to sell shirts, I don't need to sell shirts that I like. I need to sell shirts that everyone else likes who buys shirts all the time. So knowing that, I see people with these types of shirts on all the time. I wouldn't buy a shirt like this, but I know everybody else would. Therefore, how can I make 50 products at once? Okay, I can make state-based products. There are 50 states, right? So the 50 states can be in a gradient, not a real gradient, but like solid color transition design. And that's where the idea for retro sunset came. If you search Google for retro sunset, you're going to find something similar to this. All right. How can I then take the retro sunset design now that I have 51 states in the retro sunset design and then convert that to something different that uses damn near the same elements? You go from retro sunset design to pride design. All right, we're going to call this pride because that's what it's associated as, even though it's just a rainbow, right? So from there, I can then go and take this even further, and we can say, what else has stripes where we can duplicate these 51 designs, where we're taking our catalog from 51 designs to 102 designs to 153 designs, just by duplicating the idea of having a striped, a striped incorporation into the design, right? So the next variation would be very clearly an American flag. Okay. Let's go and design an American flag asset. So I'm going to take one of my assets. I'm going to take one of my assets canvases, copy that over. Let's make sure that they're aligned. All right, I'm going to zoom into that. I'm going to delete the United States out of there. I'm going to go to Google. We're going to do a search for American flag. I also want to keep this rainbow. So I want to bring this into the design at some point. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. But I'm going to go and search for American flag. And we're going to do images, tools, size, large. Better yet, I can do advanced search, change it from large and go to something like 20 megapixels. That's pretty huge. But chances are we can find a very large American flag, and we might not even have to go and design it as a vector. But before I copy that, I'll go into my program, and we're going to put United States on the outside. We're going to throw the rainbow flag into this window, and I can even go and just keep that full scale and then adjust my artboard size and then just censor that. Okay, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to Control Shift copy. Well, I'm going to drag Control Shift this artboard over. All right, and this one's going to be my American flag design. So let's go back to Google, copy that American flag image. If you don't want to copy the one from, let's close this, from the preview here. You want to click into the preview, and it's going to show you when you hover over this image to the bottom right corner that this is a 6,816 pixel by 3954 pixel flag, and it's actually an SVG. It shows me that it's an SVG via Wikipedia. So easily what I could probably do is open this in a new tab and click on File. Well, the file is here, so let me right click and save this image as, and see if this pops up as an SVG. It shows SVG PNG, but let me delete .png and see if this will save as an SVG. So let's save it. I'm going to click on the open the folder. I'm going to double click this. It opens as a image, not an SVG. So let's see if I can actually download the SVG before I do this. 6,000 pixels SVG. .svg. Enter. Yeah, I don't think this is actually an SVG, but we're going to copy and we're going to save this anyways as an svg.png, and then go to the file and see if I can change this to SVG. SVG2, double click it, and yes, it's still not an actual SVG. It's just it's just an image. An SVG typically is something that you can go and edit, and you can manipulate all the different assets. But we're just going to recreate this. Very easy to do. Watch. First thing I want to do is design the background element. I'm actually going to do a quick. You know what? I'm not even going to trim it. I'm just going to grab a rectangle. I'm going to draw that rectangle as close as we can on top of the flag. I'm going to pull that to the background. Okay. I'm going to copy. You can't see the rectangle, but I'm going to highlight the rectangle in my layers panel, do a control copy paste. All right. And then I can adjust the size of that rectangle to the height of one of these red lines. Okay. And then let's hide the flag, and let's hide this other layer that we created originally. And let's change the color of this rectangle to something like blue, just so we can see what we're doing. Okay, what I'll do is I'll use my move tool, V, and hold down Control on the keyboard and Shift, and then we're going to drag this down, and then we're going to let it snap to the very bottom of the existing rectangle. Now I can do a power duplicate by holding Control J, 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 J. We're going to power duplicate that all the way down. Let's turn our flag back on. Let's count our stripes. Do you know how many stripes the American flag has? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14. All right, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Is it 13? Yeah, it's 13. So let's make sure we have 13 stripes that we duplicated. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We have 12. Okay, and now I need one more. We have 13. Let's move these to the front and let's adjust the opacity of them. Okay, so as you can see, these 13 stripes are a little bit longer than my American flag. If I highlight all of them together, I can adjust the scale of each individual one just by transforming the entire selection. All right, now I'm going to change every other stripe to red. Let's throw this background back on top. All right, so I can select each other one in my layers panel. We're going to use the eyedropper tool to select the red of this flag and paint those red. Then we're going to select the opposite layers, rectangles, and we're just going to paint those white. Okay, we're going to grab that first rectangle we created, throw that on top. You know, let's make it green. Scale it down to about the size of the blue in the flag. And then do the same with the height until it snaps to one of our lines. Okay, then move it back to the back. Then we use the eyedropper tool. I'm going to set that to be blue. Now I'm going to go in here and just use my custom shape panel to grab a star. And then we're going to draw out a star. I'm going to set that to like pink or something and bring it to the top. And then we're just going to adjust by holding shift the height of this star until everything looks to be proportionate. All right, cool. Now I'll do a control shift and we're going to grab it. We're going to drag it down and then hold control. All right. And then we're going to do control J. Control shift, put it into place, and then control J, control J, control J. Now this one I want to move down just a hair. And then I want to select all of those stars in that column, go to the alignment tool, and then we're going to auto distribute to space these vertically. Okay, I'm going to have all those selected, hold down, drag them over, hold down control and shift, and it looks like they pretty much touch tips. And then we're going to move them down into place here, and then we're going to deselect the bottom one by holding shift. And we're going to go into our designer persona and then just combine those stars that we just created and then delete this one. All right, very simple, very easy. Now I'll do a copy. I'll do a drag, control, shift, and then put those into place. Looks like they pretty much snap together. So I guess all the stars on the flag would be touching if they were aligned right next to each other. And then we do a control J, control J, control J, control J. I'll go in here and double click and go into the node editor, and we're going to delete these stars here. Okay. And then we're just going to add all those stars together and just move them a little bit, set them to be white. We just redesigned the American flag. Easy breezy. All right, now these stripes, just going to adjust the width of those and set all of these assets to 100%. And then we're going to group, and now we have the American flag. Typically what I do like to do is keep some of these stars, or I like to use like this blue background, and I'll stretch it out to fill the entire space. Actually, no, we're going to use maybe a white background instead. So I'll grab and copy and paste one of these white stripes. Okay, we're going to throw it on top and just stretch it to fill the entire design of the flag. And then we're going to throw it on the back and then grab all the assets, all the little pieces, and then do a control G to group it. Now we have our very own American flag. Okay, you can always go and download an asset, but I design everything myself. We're going to paste this American flag right here. All right, and we're going to change the artboard name to American flag. If ever I need the American flag for anything, I know where to go get it. Rainbow. I'm actually going to go in here and grab the rainbow color and throw that inside of my assets panel. And although these aren't gradients, we're going to name this asset gradients. Okay, or, you know, I might even just go name it stripes. Okay, easy breezy. All right, now we've got our American flag. I'm going to copy this American flag, but first, before I do that, I will create a new subset of artboards. So let me go and start creating new artboards. See how many we got? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm going to do 25. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It automatically snaps to the spacing. 23, 24, 25 that I have for all these other artboards. All right, so I created those 25 because what I'm going to do from here, and really I want it to be 50. It really should be 50. All right, because our goal is to create, let's say, 50 designs a day. All right, so I would do 50. Okay, and then I'll go and duplicate those artboards to then create 50 variations of this design. Let me go and copy this, delete, paste, and throw that to the back with the music variation. The next day, I'm going to do the same 50 designs using the base design that I created from the music variation, and we're going to turn that into a summer variation. Then we're going to do a Christmas variation, and then we're going to do a Halloween variation, right? All right, so right now I'm just doing stripe variations. Okay, so the same thing technically applies. We're going to create one of each in, let's say the sunset retro design would really just be its own thing, probably, if I'm being realistic. Okay, so I would go in here before I continue, and we're just going to have a base version of this design without the retro sunset. Okay, and these will be music, these will be summer. I'm going to, since we do have these stripes, let's copy this. Music, summer. I'm going to put all the stripes together. Change the name of this to Tennessee Music. Change the name of this to Tennessee American. Change the name of this one to Tennessee Pride. So we got Tennessee Retro, Tennessee American, Tennessee Pride, and Tennessee Music. So let's copy this Pride, delete this, paste it here. Okay. All right, that way, as we create new assets, my layers panel can automatically be organized to where the newer state that I create under, let's say Texas, shows up on top of the previous created state. All right, so if I close these layers, let me zoom in so you can see what I got going over here. I'm going to close all these layers up, and what should happen, we should see, let me go all the way to the top, that all the Texas variations are together. All the Tennessee variations are together. Created a lot of Tennessee variations. All right, so technically those are supposed to be different states. All right, so I'm going to collapse all of these so you can see that all of Florida are together, all of California are together, right? So all the 50 states will collectively be together. The only thing that I would want to do from here would be to move stripes artboard, American flag artboard, rainbow artboard, and the United States artboard. I want all of those to sit at the very bottom because they're technically they're our first created pieces. So American flag should be first, stripes second, rainbow third, United States should be first, American flag should be fourth from the bottom. Okay. You probably can't see what I mean. All right, so United States is at the bottom because it's the first artboard we created. Stripes is second, rainbow is third, American flag is fourth, and then United States. And then you're going to see all of the United States layers, all the United States layers together. All right, so if I zoom back out, you'll notice all of the United States layers are right next to each other, or, artboards. And then it should be, California, California, California are together. All right, Texas, Texas, and Texas are together. United States, United States, United States are together. All right, so if I just duplicate downward, all of those layers will stay right next to each other. And that's what we're looking for. All right, so next, what I need to do is create the American version. Of each of these. All right, so it looks like we already got retro. I don't know exactly. Oh, there's rainbow. So let's delete this Florida and delete those objects and bring this one down. All right, so we got to now do the American version. And right now we are an hour, 30 minutes into the stream. And if I weren't streaming and teaching, I'd have more of these done already. But let's say we've got our American flag. Let's go in here. Let's paste the American flag in here and adjust the width of it. It does not have to be absolutely perfect. Let's throw that in the back. And I think what we could do with this one is we can skew it. I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference. But let's cut that out. Control Alt paste inside. I'm going to change the color of our. All right, so interesting. I don't know exactly how I feel about it looking this way to where it's kind of skewed upward. Let's make it straight, set it to 0, and move it up. And I think just aesthetically, this might be a much more interesting design. We might even go in here and throw on this a mesh or quad adjustment and give it a little fold. Right, so it can appear as though the lines are bending with the state. Cool. And then I'll move it up a little bit. think from there we could really, not call it a day, but this is going to get us started in the direction that we want to go. Okay. So we got pride. Actually, what I'm going to do is move all of these down because I have another idea that I think would be great. And I'm going to, I'm going to do this just like as the ideas come to me so that I can come back and reiterate and finalize those ideas, right? So I didn't finish all the pride variations yet before I jump to the American flag. But this is kind of, it's not ADD, ADHD. It's really just kind of planning and future planning and getting the concept out there so that then I can go back one day and decide today I'm going to finalize all of the retro flags. Tomorrow I'm going to finalize all the American flags. The next day I'm going to finalize all of the pride flags. Or not flags, the pride stripes. And then the next day I'm going to finalize all the music variations. So the second variation I thought of was to do all black. All right, so with something like this, I can go and let's just convert this to curves. And let's jump in there and grab all the visible blue and red and set those to be black. Really, that's like is that black or is that like an off black? That's black. What was the difference? This is like a dark gray. Either way, like I kind of like it. And what I'm going to do is just combine these shapes so that we don't see any visible lines in between them. And let's see. I don't know exactly how I want to spin this. But again, this is just an idea. Right? So what I could do, I don't think a lot of people who are in like military, I don't think they're keen to wearing white shirts. Right? I don't think that would, and maybe they are. Maybe we can do a white variation. But assuming that this was on something black, what I think I would do is I would take this Tennessee shape, copy and paste it, and set the stroke to outside and white, and make it just smaller. Might be even better if I center it too. Let's see what's the difference. The centering doesn't look that good. Or does it? I don't know. This one's a little more rounded by default, and I kind of like how that looks. But I think centering it would help hide some of those edges a little better. And let's just make sure that they're somewhat rounded, which they are. Like, see how those edges are so sharp? If I set it to outside, align stroke to center. If I set it to center, it is rounded. And that's what I want. Okay, so there is the black and white variation of the American flag. Now I have technically 51. Stream's current bitrate is 1,389 kilobytes. We recommend that you use, which is good, a stream bitrate of 6,800. So can I adjust that? Output settings. Yeah, I don't know. I think that has just something to do with my internet connection, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up here and, maybe try to do one more. Maybe try to do the rest of these states in this Tennessee format, or I'm sorry, in this American flag format. Copy, paste, bring this over, and, give it the right height adjustment. X. Let's adjust the color of this to transparent. Control Alt V to paste. Okay. Let's do the same here. Control transparent. Control Alt V. I know that these are the same height, so maybe something like that would work. Control Alt V. Something like that. Even I'll like skew this one a little bit to match that Texas look. And I think even going as far as to edit this one as well, give it a rotation, and then move it just ever so slightly. Can make for a somewhat interesting design. It's obviously not going to have 50 stars. But it might look somewhat like I can't pull it like that. It looks like a damn shoe. It's weird. All right, and the same with this. Let's just increase the size of that a little bit. And honestly, I think that's kind of a good look. Okay, here, Control Alt, change the color, transparent, Control Alt, paste. And that's America, so that one's just gonna look right. Without any adjustments. Cool. All right, and then what we do is we go and Control Shift duplicate. All right, and I'll go in here and we're going to grab the red and blues and combine those as one and set those to black, or this brownish color. Combine, not brownish, dark gray, because it's not actually black. Do the same thing for Texas. Combine, set it. That blue looks kind of tight, but again, we're going after a different audience with these, because these are going to be more like Marine, military, maybe even law enforcement. And then, maybe we can do a blue one for law enforcement with I don't know, American flag, but all blue and white, since law enforcement technically is like kind of identified through their blue. Okay, and let me look at what the stroke for this outline was. 1.7 point. All right, so I'm going to do a copy paste of Florida. I'm going to delete the flag out of it. I'm going to set the stroke to 1.7 and set it to be centered. Yep. Same thing here. I'm going to do a copy paste, delete the flag, set the stroke to 1.7. Copy paste, delete the flag, set the stroke to 1.7. I believe it's already white, and change the swatch to transparent. Same thing with this. Copy paste, delete the flag, change the stroke to 1.7. All right, so we just created one variation. And, now I have an idea for a, let's say like a law enforcement variation of this T that has, a simple text that says, "I bleed blue." Right? Get political all you want about the fact that nobody bleeds blue. It's not for us. Okay? It's for them. If that is something that's special to them and something that is understood in the community of law enforcement, our goal is to make something that's understood between them that interests them. All right. And it's going to be our own custom design. Okay. So because you watched me create this stream, let's say, let's go to Google, trusty Google. I bleed blue. Images. Law enforcement shirt. In this house, we bleed blue. Like, all right, I'm going to, create something like this. Let's copy this for inspiration. And this really is the color that we want. But apparently, the flag only has one blue stripe. And everything else is black and black and white. So this is perfect. In this family, we bleed blue. I'm actually going to take this one and copy it. I'm not going to copy the design, obviously. I'm just going to copy the text. But I'm going to paste this here outside of the canvas because that's going to be the inspiration for this one. And for one of these lines, I can go to swatches and choose that blue color. And I think that'll be more than enough for what we're trying to accomplish. Now, I might be able to just get rid of the white background so it's not bleeding through my design. Excuse me. Here. All right, so you see how quickly I just created like 5 variations of shirts? I can't tell which one of these is, let's see, it's probably going to be this one. Delete this. Let's grab all of these curves. Let's grab this group and just extend it. Just a hair. All right, and last not least, Tennessee. Grab a blue line, and then we're going to combine the rest of these red lines to the black lines that are kind of invisible behind the scenes a little bit. Just looks like there's one more, just to make sure that there's some integrity in our design. Okay, and there you have it. Y'all, I just created, and they're not done yet because obviously I want to add text to this, but working from home as a designer in the print-on-demand niche and actually making passive income requires a lot of active work on the front end. And everything that I just did in front of your face is the active work that's required aside from uploading and optimizing listings, okay, the big thing, listings are easy to optimize once you've done one. Once you've created a listing for the United States variation of the I Bleed Blue t-shirt, you now can duplicate that listing and then just update the text of the United States shape to reflect it being Texas or Florida or California or Tennessee. And still it'll be relevant to, Bleeding Blue. All the content of the of that design, of that description will be relevant once you've created it one time. Now you have your 51 other descriptions for the other products ready to go. And you have 51 products to upload in one day. The next day, and they're different products. Technically, you just design 51 products all at once, and it's the same product, but they're different because it's different states. Does that make sense? So you want to try to find a niche where you can do the same thing and then create like a nurse variation. I really love the idea, though, of having this white outline to really like pull this design together and make it feel more complete. All right, so I'm going to go and copy this white outline on top of all of my other flags. Except for the sunset. That doesn't need a white outline. It's good as it is. I just need to throw some effect on it. And I don't think the rainbow variation of it needs to have that either, but I'm going to try it and see what it looks like. I'm going to do a paste here, and then I'm going to do a copy, paste. We're going to change that outline to transparent, change the fill to white, and throw this in the back. And I think that's going to give us a more aesthetically pleasing design where that white shows up through the separations of those stripes. All right, so just a quick aesthetic change. Paste, paste. Okay, same thing here. Copy, paste, paste. Change this one to white, throw it on the back. Same thing here. Copy, paste, paste. I'm going to paste it twice because one of them we're going to throw in the back. And for Tennessee, copy that edge, paste twice, set one to transparent, and then set the fill to white, and then throw it in the back. And that essentially is the finalized version of the primary piece of the design. All we have to do is repeat that 50 times. Once we've extracted all the other states, we now have 50 variations of states to use, and then I can throw the same text or something similar. I'll try to keep it generic, right? So for this particular design, I like this kind of gradient look of this text here, but the gradient look is kind of a reflection of the grungy appearance of the flag, and you want things to look cohesive. Right now, this design is clean. Okay, so instead of trying to create something similar to this, I'm going to find some fonts that I think will be useful for my design and build out something similar. And this is just going to say, I bleed. It's just going to say, in this family, we bleed blue. Okay, and say what you want about police officers. I support the good ones. Therefore, I don't have anything negative to say about police officers, while I may have reservations about individuals who become police officers. All right, so that's why this is exciting for me to be able to have these types of products, because there are people who deserve this, and I want them to have the best versions of these types of products. Therefore, I'm going to be the one that creates them. Okay, there are some, in the pride community, there are people that are taking advantage of and exploiting the community. But then again, there are people in the community that deserve to be recognized, and these products are for them. If someone else buys it, Great, cool, more money for me. Okay, but my idea of being inclusive is based on who deserves it. And if someone deserves something and I'm really good at creating that something that they deserve, it's going to be me that makes it. So let's grab let's do a frame text tool. Let's just throw this up there. We're going to say, in this family, we bleed. And I'm going to set it to white for now. We're going to make it, let's see. In this family, we bleed. So let's make it 48 point. Just slightly smaller. And we want the leading to be, we can keep it as is. I think that's normal spacing. Okay, so right now we're just kind of creating something similar to what we see over here on the left. I'm going to make the stroke white. And I'm going to make the primary color black. And I'm going to set that stroke to a decent width. Now I'm going to go and find a very bold font. Something that maybe also looks a bit American. You know, the primary goal is just to make it bold. And real quick before I do that, I'm going to go and add, I'm going to make sure that that stroke scales with the object. I'm going to go into that text and I will add an effect. This effect is going to be an outer glow. Change it from screen to normal. Change it from white to black. Let me use the from white to black. And I think what I will do in the end is I'm going to convert all of this to black. And I will find a way to maybe punch out all the black content so that it can punch through as transparent, so that when we put this on a black shirt, the black shows up as black. When we put this on a heather black shirt, the black shows up as a heather black. When we put this on a gray shirt, the black shows up as gray. So if we make this a transparent design, then it will be very easy for us to go and place this on different shirt colors that vary in consistency. And I think that will result in a nice look versus having that black really pop out on a dark gray shirt. Okay, so let's set this to, can we set it to erase? No, we can't. That would be cool. All right. Let's give this a little bit of a glow. And I believe what I'm going to want to do, we'll figure something out here soon, but let's just make this look good first. Let's change this color to this darker gray color to make it cohesive. Close. All right, that kind of helps the design stand out a little bit. And it looks kind of weird jumping on that blue. So let's bring it. Let's bring this text together. And let's make that outer glow scale with the object. and have a higher intensity, maybe. I've got to figure out. So maybe it's not even a glow. Let's do an outer shadow instead of an outer glow. That way we can control the strength of that edge so that it's not too feathered. All right, so intensity, opacity, radius, and make that kind of intense. And you know, just like this kind of shadow might even work too. Let's change it from multiply to normal. Let's choose the same color as our background for now. And let's zoom out a little bit. And now we can actually confidently put this over. I don't know. I feel like that glow just looked a little better. Let's take the offset back down and then increase the radius and then decrease the intensity slightly. See, I don't like how there's some little fringing happening in there. But okay, you know, let's go ahead and set it to 100. Turn the radius. Yeah, I don't like, maybe 99 will work. Something about it just looks a little strange in comparison to having an outer glow. So I think I might rather it be an outer glow. It just looked that much better. Minus the fact that when you put it over blue, it looks a little odd. So maybe we can set this to multiply and black. I don't know. I don't know if you guys can see it from your computers, monitor, screen, TV, whatever you might be watching on. Let's see, add lighter color, overlay. I thought darker color. Add. That kind of looks, nah. Lighter color. All right, so let's see which one of these blend modes might give us the more aesthetically pleasing. And maybe it's just multiply. All right, so let's keep it as multiply. I think that looks best. And most of the design has, you know, actually white text, like a gradient text in the center of the text itself. But I've got to do something that's just slightly different, I guess. So I think this is just going to be what I resort to, because having white text might actually help it stand out a little bit more. And then the outline is going to be our blackish color. See, I don't know. That's the opposite of what is happening with the United States design, right? So I'm just kind of trying to think of clever ways to just spin this so that it looks good based on our designs. You can't just copy, you know, what's out there. All right, so I'm going to take this white and we're going to just copy this over. I'm going to set this to right aligned. Okay, and we're going to type blue. And then we're going to adjust the size of this from 41 to, it looks like 70-ish. .96. Okay. And then with this one, it's kind of the same thing. I got to figure out, I know that the color that I want this to be is our blue color, but I want my outer edge then to have some high contrast, which probably means it needs to be white. And, you know, I would say that we have a pretty good looking design, except the only thing I probably would change about this is rotating the design a little bit. And I might even do the same with the text. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's see. Our flag is rotated at negative 7.4. And we're going to make this also be rotated at negative 7.4. Right now it's rotated at negative 7.9. So let's change this to negative 7.4. Whoops. All right, and then just adjust it a little bit. You know, I don't know exactly how I'm going to spin this, but to have it cover a portion of the United States might not be a bad look. All right, so we're 2 hours in, and although the designs aren't finished, we're just 2 hours in. If we're doing this for 4 hours a day, for 100 days, 180 days, how many designs do you think we can get done? All right, so 1 year in this could result in more than 5,000 designs, or around 5,000 designs, both designed and uploaded. Let's put this right here. That's a pretty good look. There's a t-shirt design. Let's set the canvas to transparent. Let's go to designer persona. Let's go to the document setup, color, and transparent background. Okay. And essentially that's what you're seeing. But assuming that the shirt is like a dark color, that's how it's going to turn out. Okay, now all we have to do is copy that, paste it here, and set this back to 0. And this one's skewed a little bit, but you know, this is Texas. Let's copy it first before we modify it. The American flag is skewed negative 3.5 degrees. So I'll go and grab this text and we're going to skew it negative 3.5. All right. I'm not not sure how I feel about this one. Okay, let's go here. The American flag is rotated negative 15.7. So I'm going to paste and do a minus 15.7 rotation. I'm going to censor this text. And I don't know, maybe that kind of takes away from the design of the state or something. As long, unless I go and throw this text here and then throw the state here. Right? Maybe lift this up just a hair so that we can get that detail. All right. And then again, let's Florida. This one's rotated 4 degrees. So I'll paste my text, do a 4-degree rotation. And we're just going to drop that right there. Tennessee is slightly different. That's got a little curvature to it. And I think it's also rotated, but I've saved and modified. So we're just going to paste this one here. And, I don't know exactly how I want to spin this one, but let's figure it out together. Okay, I can go in here and grab back to designer persona. We're going to group those together and add a warp group. We'll do quad, and we're going to just bend this text at the top. And it's as simple as that. And technically that's our Tennessee shirt, unless I wanted to throw this, I don't know. I don't want it to be, I don't know yet about the layout of this one, because Tennessee is just kind of funny looking, So maybe the scale needs to be a little bit different for this. And inside of here, I can move this text over. Hey, that effect is kind of cool, though it wasn't the intention. So what I'm going to do is, oh man, I don't know how to handle the change I just made. Okay, so let's go and grab this blue and family inside of this layer. And I should be able to, whoops. Adjust the scale of it in there, and then go back and adjust my warp, or the scale of the warp. So let's pull this out, and that's going to look much better. would say that those are some pretty successful designs. Let's move that just ever so slightly and center it. All right, see the difference? In this family, we bleed blue. And the designs kind of correlate with each state. All right, so I want something that's going to be slightly unique for each one. I think I might keep this as is. Okay, you got Texas here. That looks pretty solid to me. You got the United States. I'd say that looks pretty solid, but I think I'm also going to just modify this to where this text is out here and this text is I don't know. It's just gotta all look somewhat aesthetically interesting, right? So maybe we bring this one here. I'll take it. That way we can see a little bit more of Alaska and these islands here. All right, so boom, that's, you know, if we got all the letters for everything, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 designs. That's pretty much, let's see, it's 120 minutes divided by 25. So 4 minutes per design. Yeah, I guess 4 minutes per design. That's pretty good. And let's say you put these shirts on sale for $30 and you make $15 profit. That's $15 that you just made in that 4 minutes, right? Or however many, you know, it might not be 4 minutes, but considering that we just duplicated a lot of these and, you know, we already created the 50 states. That's the very first thing we did. So individually creating the United States, let's say creating the United States took 10 minutes. Well, that also created the individual states in that process. So it wasn't 10 minutes times 50. All we had to do is extract out those 50 states, right? So we spent 0 time creating the individual states and 10 minutes creating the United States. All right, so that's free time per state. Now, however long it took to create the American flag is different. You know, it took me, so let's combine all of that up. This 2 hours, let's say it took me 2 hours to create the United States. And the American flags and all the different flags. 2 hours tops has now created this many products. If each of these products, if we sell one United States variation, one Texas variation, one California variation, one Florida variation, one Tennessee variation, that is 5 times $15. That's $75. Divide that $75 by the 2 hours we just took. We're making $37.50 an hour. Just off of selling these 5 variations one time. Now, over the course of a year, we have 50 states, and it takes us 8 hours to create 5 to 6 variations of 50 states. It takes us 8 hours, right? In this sense, if we were making $37 an hour times 8 hours, that'd be $300. $300, right? So if you go to work today for 8 hours and you make $37 an hour, that's $300, right? But over the course of this 8 hours that we spend creating these assets, you might generate 100 sales in the next 2 months. Okay, so $15 times 100 is $1,500. Technically, you just made $750 a month. And if that stays consistent over the next year, that is $9,000 you just added to your year in 8 hours of work. 9,000 profit, because you're selling the shirts for about $30. Let's say someone buys one shirt, they do pay for shipping. Let's say cut it down to $25, or $30 with shipping included. You, let's say, made $10 per shirt. That's pretty good. But if you go over the course of a year and you create 5,000 products and you only sell 1% of those 5,000 every month or day, I don't know, let's see, what's 1% of 5,000 is 50 shirts a month. That's $750 a month you just added to your income. But I think 1% of that, I think you can sell in a day. If you have 5,000 products and your store's got some decent SEO. So $750 a day, 750 times 7 is $5,250, $5,000 a week. All right, which is $21,000 a month. Okay, and that's $252,000 a year if you can get 750 a day. So the other thing that I didn't showcase in this stream yet that I'm going to go ahead and add to this would be maybe the back of the shirt would have a badge number, right? So this is something that I think anybody who's got a police member, a police officer in their family, this might be something they get for themselves to represent their family member, but also for their family member, and it can be a great gift. So let's go and search for police officer badge, and I can also look for this inside of Freepik. And let's search for vectors. And let's find something really simple. Police badge number, maybe? I don't know. Looking for something really simple. And, if I don't find what I'm looking for, I'm just going to create it anyways. You can spin this off to a sheriff. I don't think sheriffs bleed blue. I don't know. But I can do enough research to figure it out since we already have the design. Once I have one design created, I have all the other designs technically created with some minor adjustments. So let's go to Google, police officer badge number, images. And essentially, this is what we're looking at here. Los Angeles Police. So what I can do, Los Angeles Police Bakersfield Police. I think this is, I can't tell if that's real or not. It might be. So let's look for Memphis police badge. And this is what Memphis's badge looks like. Let's go to tools, size large. And essentially, I don't know exactly what this like means. I don't think that this is in relation to like someone's officer's death. Right? So I'd be afraid to just design this and put it on there, and market it as, supporting your family member. Instead, I would probably create something, I would recreate this badge. And then instead of doing best in blue, I'll put the badge number up there and make that the customizable element. And Memphis, Tennessee, I'll make that the first and last name. Okay, and then I'll put this on both the front and the back of the shirt. Okay, to where, hypothetically speaking, you have this graphic. Let's copy this. And let's pretend we already edited it. You have one here on the front of the shirt with their badge number and name. And then you'll do a full-sized version on the back of the shirt with their badge number and name. And maybe that one would say best in blue police, right? I'll do the same thing for firefighters. I don't know if there's a firefighter variation of a flag, but with that, what I would then do is grab this. Let's move it over. Okay, let's Control X and delete this, or Control cut it. And paste it here. And then we would have one element actually be one of these artboards would be our badge. All right, and then the badge can be customizable. Right here, it might be something more military related. And I don't know exactly what that would look like, but we got our American flag. Maybe we can spin that off into a fire department variation. Just trying to make sure all my alignments are right. Okay, so the American flag can be with or without the fire department variation, but let's go and find a fire department. I don't know what it's called, but let's just call it a badge. And then we can change that badge from like a police badge to a lieutenant badge. All right, those are two different things. So let's just go ahead and copy this image, just so that I can kind of be aware of what we're looking at. Then we have a captain. So let me just go ahead and copy and paste this over into, maybe we'll want to have another assets artboard. I'm going to paste this here. And let's go back to Google. Let's grab this one. We're going to copy it. Paste it here. All right, we got lieutenant, captain, and let's say sergeant. And then chief. We got got special police, detective. I don't know if detectives use the bleed blue slogan. Okay, but you know, we just created with this multiple variations of this one shirt. Yeah, Memphis Police Motorcycle Squad. So I'm going to find ways to just create these variations of badges and see if I can find vectors for them. What is pie plate? I have no idea what that is. All right, but doing just a little bit of research, I found chief. Let's copy this image. Paste this image here. Got lieutenant, captain. Let's see if I can find Memphis Police Sergeant badge. Images. Copy that. Why do I keep opening that? All right, these are all just going to be references that I can use to then go and design what I need to design. And anything that has a similarity in design, I can keep it as is. It appears as though lieutenant, sergeant, and chief share the same design, so I don't have to design a new badge. I just need to change the name. It appears as though captain shares the same design as the regular police badge, so I can keep that. Although it has this one has the older commerce thing in the middle, which I have a vector version of that already. All right, and then this agriculture commerce badge is the one that's for captain. I can find a way to design that for captain, and that way somebody can see this and say, oh, hey, we need to get one of these for the captain. He will love this shirt, right? And then, you know, there's going to be the blacked out version. I go back into Google. We've got detective that shares the design. Let's just copy that image. What is this? Reserve captain. I don't know what that means. Okay, but oh look, that's an Elvis. See, look, check that out. I don't know what the significance is for Elvis, but somebody's might want the Elvis variation of that. I can guarantee you that shirt doesn't exist yet. So let's copy the reserve captain and let's open this one up to see what we're looking at here. Reserve captain, Memphis Police, Elvis. Yeah, I have no idea the significance. Police badge, fob watch. Okay, so they're smart enough to create something for police, you know, for police in Memphis as a, you know, let's go ahead and expand this out a little bit. Okay, so that we have enough room to get all of our concepts in one document, so we don't have to keep referring back to Google. Okay, we got detective, captain, duties, something, I don't know. All of these are different, but I might just go and consult with a police officer. And they would give me the ideas and maybe even be able to provide for me all the different vector versions of these images that they may use when getting items created for them. Okay, so there's an older badge. Let's copy this. Someone might want to get this for their grandfather. All right, I think this is super slick. It's really interesting to see the older versions of the badge for the Memphis Police. And, you know, I don't know the history, but I know that this is interesting enough to know that we now are creating, basically in real time, a lot of different customization options that once created on our end will be very easy to modify for our customers, and they're going to be more interested in ordering because now it's not just some generic t-shirt. It's a t-shirt with their family member's name on it. And I think that can be very significant. So let me go ahead and start wrapping this stream up. I'm going to go ahead and finish downloading some items and organizing them in my, we call this inspiration artboard. It's not really a mood board, but it definitely works as a mood board. That's rasterize and trim. Right? It's not really a mood board because we're not just getting ideas. We're using this to be able to pull very specific design influence from these images. I'd assume that's kind of the same. This one's a little bit different, copy image. So we can create or find a vector version of this or buy a vector version of this, right? So, let me just copy this over, click on this one, paste this here. All right, we can just go and buy these if we want, but I'm just going to put them in here so I can do a Google search for them later when I'm ready to actually purchase and use them, or I'll just remake it myself. But I want it to be here so that when I open this project back up again tomorrow, I'm not trying to guess at what I need to be creating. All right, so I'm getting all these different Memphis badges because it just, off the top of my head, I just thought, oh, it'd be cool if my customers can customize this product. That way, I think people are more likely to order one on a more of a daily basis. All right, so now, running back through it, we went and downloaded an asset of the United States. It looked a little funny. We turned it into this. We extracted all the different states to now give us 50 different elements to work with. Technically 51 because the United States itself is an element. All right. What we did is put that on its own artboard as the primary asset for this project. And then we went and found some assets like the retro stripes. We got the retro stripes right there. And then we got the rainbow stripes. All right. We got stripes. I could even go as far as to put the American flag in here, but because it's its own asset, I'm going to keep that on its own artboard. And then we got the rainbow, right? Because rainbow stripes isn't just for pride. So maybe there's some rainbow spinoff we can do for kids, but I'm not getting to that yet. And this is just a graphic I downloaded off Google. I haven't even turned that into a vector yet. All right. So that being said, I took the United States and I converted that asset into a retro. We call it a retro sunset. I'm not going to reuse this one probably. I went and simplified the design and turned it into its own retro sunset with no states inside of the context of the United States. And then I extracted from our primary design individual states so that we have now Texas as a retro sunset, California, Florida, Tennessee, and then we want to expand those out to the other 50 states. Easy breezy. All right. The first thing I'll do before expanding those out to other 50 states is I'll grab inspiration from Google and I'll search retro sunset shirts. All right. Some of these retro sunset shirts, let me find something a little more practical, is going to have, there are no palm trees in Tennessee. So that's not going to be one that we can use. Instead, we can probably use something like this similar sunset design. And I don't want to take their design specifically. Instead, what I want to do is go to Google, click on images, and then we're going to look and see what is out here, what's trending, what's coming up at the top. Very first thing I see are like nature related. So the birds are watching. I like big boats and I cannot lie. Easily distracted by birds. I think those are easy things that we can bring into the design, and it almost doesn't matter. We can basically create anything with that retro sunset now. All right. Here's a great one. You can't scare me. I have two boys. Um, let's see. Happy summer. World's best father. All right. So there are a lot of retro related designs that we can use to create some very generic artwork and something that's maybe Tennessee related. You can't scare me. I'm from Memphis. That's a great one. All right. Take the idea. Okay. It's gonna probably go viral one day and people are gonna steal it anyways. But with that being said, boom, we have all these different retro versions of designs that we can use to create something interesting. And then I went down and created a United States flag version. Actually, before I did that, I turned the retro thing into a pride variation. So now we have 51 pride variations. After I did that, I went and created the United States flag, and then I turned the states into a flag variation. There's so much more we can do with that, but let's keep it simple for now. We can maybe then go and do 51 versions of like a 4th of July t shirt. Then I thought to myself, a black flag would be so tight. So I converted that flag into a black flag. Now we have 51 black flag t shirts that are appropriate for people who are in the military, fallen soldiers, prisoners of war, for example. So I can do a prisoner of war variation of all the 50 states plus the United States as a whole. And then I can do a black flag variation for the people who are, military related, where there is no POW, MIA aspect of it. It's just they really like all black things. They like guns, right? So a pro gun shirt, all right? And depending on the states, it's just like, I don't know, we'll find some pro gun quote. And then the police department one, like basically how you call this evergreen designs, right? But the evergreen design goes beyond it being like a nurse shirt where you can have 50 different variations of the text in the nurse shirt. It goes deeper into the design to where now, instead of me just doing United States, I now have 50 variations or 51 variations of the United States and those states. Plus, I can create 51 variations of stripes. And then in, the American flag, I can have multiple variations of the American flag, right? So the evergreen design doesn't stop at just these are 50 states, 51, 50 states, 50 states, 50 states, 50 states, 50 states. It is now stripes and flags, right? Being able to duplicate the American flag and creating products that appeal to different groups of people based on just the flag design. Let me delete that and this. Okay, so that being said, this has been a fun stream for me because I didn't intend to create this project, but I did it anyway for you guys to be able to have a practical look over my shoulder at my thought process. This isn't even a business that I am starting. It's just something I thought would be useful to you guys, but I may actually go and turn this into a business so that you can see in real time the effects or the result of this work that I've put in this 2 hours and 30 minutes for this stream. Once I have 50 products, this is 25 products or 25 states, the way that this is laid out to here. All right, 50 would look more like this, maybe. Would go all the way out to here, right? But all that being said, 50 states times 50 times, or we'll do 51 times the current set of variations that I have, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is 255 different t-shirt products. All right. Out of that, times 1% is 22.55. If I sell 3 shirts per day out of this selection of products, customizable, that could be around $15 of profit per shirt, $45 per day, $315 per week, $1,260 per month, and that's $15,000 per year. Okay, that is just these shirts alone. Okay, so all the other variations of state shirts that I didn't mention, like music related, whatever the state food or animal is, and then random quotes per, public figure that came from that state. I don't know. We'll think of something interesting, but this is a great start to be able to create a niche worth of shirts. And of course, you're thinking about just skateboarding. I can have a guy skateboarding and grinding on the state and have a shirt for skaters to represent their state. Say, I'm from Texas. Say, bitch, I'm from Texas on the front of the shirt, and then a skateboarder grinding on the top of Texas. So realistically, you'll have 51 shirts times 100 different niches like nursing and construction working, and that's 5,100 shirts in your store times 1%. It's 51 shirts. Let's say you sell 1% of shirts per day. It could even be per month, but let's say if it was per month times 15, that's $765 a month. Let's say that was per day though, because you're running ads and these customizable products. 765 per day times 7 days, times 4 weeks, times 12 months, $257,000. So let's say $15. Hold on. 100 variations of products times 51 state designs is 5,100 products. Okay. Times 1% is $51 or 51 sales. Times $15 profit. If you can get that much profit from a customizable product, selling it for $30. Okay. Times 7 days, times 4 weeks. Yeah, $21,000 a month. Times 12, $257,000 in profit that you could generate for this store alone. Duplicate that 4 times, and you're making $1 million a year. But if I get 51 sales a day, and let's see, how long would it take me to update a product with the customer's name and badge number on it and upload that 51 times? I could probably do that in about an hour. Okay, so let's say that's duplicated around 4 products. I could essentially get to a point to where I'm working about 4 hours a day and then paying someone else to do that eventually, right? So $1 million to work 4 hours a day, I think is pretty great. But of course, you'll have enough money then to hire someone to come and do the work for you. And that's a great business strategy. So design first approach for me to learn how to use these programs efficiently enough to be able to knock out variations of multiple designs in one sitting. Again, we're about 3 hours in, but I'm teaching as I'd work. And if I was just working, I probably would quadruple the amount of stuff that I've completed. But I just showed you a real practical example of how you can get a lot of work done in a small amount of time. The only thing that's left for me in this process is just actually building out the store, uploading the files, syncing everything. That's a task in itself. But once it's done, it's done. And once it's done for a particular product, like the in this family we bleed blue shirt, it's pretty much done for all of them. Okay, so once I create the description for the in this family we bleed blue United States police officer shirt, I can then go and do this for basically every other state easily. Just duplicate the description, modify the product, or set it up to where the customer can pick their state. Right. So all of these essentially could be one. This could be one product, and the customer can pick their state, make it United States, pick their state, pick their badge number, pick their city and state. See, I want to get it like actually sorted out to where, that would be an awful lot if I was talking about doing a badge number per like city, like Memphis, Tennessee, and then all the other places in the world. That'd probably be way too much work. So just simplifying it down to just police department, and then removing the badge in the center, this little county, Shelby County crest, and setting it to where it's generic, and then doing city, state, police, badge number. That's probably the approach that I would take, and then which state you want to use. Yeah, that's what I would do. That is what I would do. Yeah. So, hey guys, this is my journey to making anywhere from $1 to $3 million over the next year. And I want you to see it happen in real time. So this is the start. I've got like $500 to my name right now, but I've got $1 million in execution, productivity, and ideas. And 1 year from now, people are gonna come back and watch these videos and say, "Wow, I see exactly what you did, and I'm gonna duplicate that." And I think that's amazing. I want to be a millionaire as well. I don't have any videos that I can watch where it's that practical and motivating for me. Anyways, take care.